Welcome to our channel. Today we will see Decolonizing the Mind by Ngugi Watang. Let's we see the summary of this prose. In introduction part, the essay Decolonizing the Mind is written by Ngugi Watang, an African writer. Many countries were colonized by the European in the past. They introduced their culture and language in the colonized country as a part of their own development. English was forced into the colonized country as an official language by the British, which also colonized the mind of the natives. Even after decolonizing of such countries by the British, people of those countries are still colonized mentally. They celebrated the British language and tried to mimic the British. Implementation of English as an official language. This essay talks about the implementation of English as the official language by the British in the colonized country, impact of such act upon the native languages and its present condition. This essay also tries to give suggestions to decolonize the mind. Thongs use a suitable title by providing suggestions to decolonize the mind. Personal experience of Thong's life. Thongs talks about his personal experience with his mother tongue and the English language. He was born in a larger family with around 35 members. Their mother tongue was Kigugi and it was used for communication. He remembers the evenings of storytelling around the fireside with his family members. The grown up narrated stories to the children, and the following day, the children would retell the stories while working in the field. To observe the holistic natural elements, the stories were narrated in Gigugi, and most of them had animals as the main characters, especially hare. Through small, it was fully as of wit and the cunning. The children identified themselves with the hare as it struggled against big animals with like a lion, leopard, or hyena. The children personified the victory of hare as their victories, and it developed their confidence as the weak could outwit the strong. The children were also interested to observe the holistic natural elements which confront for animals' cooperations and sometimes their struggles amongst themselves. The children compared the animals' struggle against nature and the other animals with the real life struggles of the human. Stories with humans as the lead role had the central themes. Togetherness is ultimate for a community. Let's talk about good and bad storytelling. Those stories had two sets of characters, humans with all positive characterization and humans with all negative character who could eat others human. Such stories cultivated moral value among the children. Thiong'o talks about good and bad storytelling. The good storytellers could narrate the same story interestingly many times with rich usage of difficult words and images with verifying tones of voice. This kind of effective storytelling enabled the children to understand the value of words. He believes that language is not a mere connection of words but it is a powerful one. They enriched that power through language games like riddles, proverbs. It enables them to understand the music of the language and also they could use of the world with its images and symbols. The language they used in their house and the community was the same. School experience of Thiong'o. Thiong'o joined school and during the first 4 years of schooling teaching was in his mother tongue. He had a pleasant school experience. Later he joined a colonial school which broke the harmony of the language usage. The language used for education was not his cultural language. After the declarations of a state of emergency, our Kenya in 1952, all the schools were under the guidance of district education. Thiong'o shares incident of humiliating experience. Thiong'o states that since then English become more than a language in Kenya. Thiong'o shares incident of humiliating experience undergone by the Gigugi speaking children in the school. Different types of punishment were given. 5 strokes of a can on their buttocks, made to carry a metal plate around the neck with inscription of I am a stupid or I am a donkey, fined with unaffordable money. Every day, teachers handed over a button to particular students to give it to a students who speaks in mother tongue. At the end of the day, the students would give the list of students who had a button that day. This practice transformed the children as traitors to their own community. Moreover, attitude towards English language also got changed. Slowly, English language was seen as intelligence and ability. People started believing English as the main sources for a child's progress. Racial demarcation. Apart from the racial demarcation, the colonial education system followed a pyramid structure to reduce the number of educators in Africa. The primary system was a border one, and when it goes to the college level, the structure becomes very narrow. The students should clear 10 papers from maths to science in English. The students who failed in a single paper, through very brilliant, could not continue his education. English as the magic formula for higher education. Youngs remembers a boy who scored distinction in all subjects except English, later became a turn boy in a bus company. On the other hand, Thiong'o, who passed with low marks, got placed in one of the elitist institutions in colonial Kenya. Students, in spite of their brilliancy, were denied admission in university college due to failure in English language. Hence, English was seen as a magic formula for higher education. Consequently, orature in Kenyan language has stopped. Moreover, in primary schools, they had British and American classic. The increased gap between the usage of mother tongue and English. Thiong'o works in Ngugi. Thiong'o has started writing his works in Ngugi since 1977. In his native language, has wrote 2 plays, 1 novel, and 3 books for children. Since then, he was confronted with a question, particularly in Europe, about the reason for his writing in Ngugi language. His writing in mother tongue was perceived as an abnormal act. The common practice in the other culture, writing in mother tongue, was criticized and questioned that indicated the impersonalized attitude. As a result, abnormal was perceived as normal and vice versa. In reality, Africa enriches Europe, whereas Africans were made to believe that Europe rescue them from poverty. Africa resources like naturals and human developed Europe and America, but in reality, it was projected in the reverse manner. The anti-imperialistic struggles of Africa. Thiong'o believes that his writing in Kikugi is a part of the anti-imperialist struggles of African, especially Kenyan people. In educational institutions, the Kenyan languages were associated with negative aspects such as underdeveloped, humiliation, and punishment. He does not want to see the future generation, especially school children, growing up in the imperialist tradition. Colonial alienation. He wants them to suppress the colonial alienation. Thiong'o gives 2 interlinked forms of colonial alienation, distancing themselves from the reality around, identification with what is most eternal to one's environment. The colonial alienation starts with disassociations of a language in educational environment, but used at home and in society. He compares it with separating a society with bodiless heads and headless bodies. In conclusion part, the youngs visualize a future where he could see the restorations of harmony in language, which enables the Kenyan child to be restored with his or her environment. He desired to see the Kenyan national languages having a literatures which reflect the themes of the language as well as the natives' social nature and their struggles with nature. In such a harmonious situation, one can learn other language and could enjoy revolutionary elements in the other languages without any complex about his or her mother tongue, environment and his or herself. In it will benefit the future generations of Kenya to live in harmony. Thanks for watching this video, viewers. Please subscribe my channel. Thank you.